Hey, how are you, everybody? How's everybody doing out there? Today we're going to talk about ghosts, and I'm going to let today people come on panel, and tell their story if they have one. But tell the story of ghosts. Oh God, oh here it is. Yes, okay, ghosts and ghosts, the supernatural. We'll talk about the supernatural today. Mhm. Hmm. Okay, I'm going to put the link later, a little bit later, but I want to talk stories of ghosts. I've been seeing a lot of videos lately on the supernatural. Hey, hello, Spelly Cat. Thanks for coming. I've been seeing a lot of videos online here about witches. That people claim that witches can fly, even turn themselves into fire. You know, um, to be honest, I have my doubts of that. Witches turn into fire, man. There could be many things like uh, special effects. Yeah. Oh, okay. Uh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. It's really good. Yeah. But sometimes I wonder, maybe it's some kind of special effects those YouTubers are doing because you can do a lot of stuff in YouTube special effects now. But one thing doesn't make sense. They put a witch and she's laughing like the old traditional stereotyping witch from the from Halloween stories and everything like that. I'm saying is that that's more like a Western that comes more from Western paganism and all that kind of stuff, Wicca and all that stuff. But why does it have to be? Why does a witch in some country that is not a Western country, like Mexico or maybe Central South America, someplace over there, laughs like that? That's what I don't get. I mean, I don't get. Supposedly, the witches of of you know uh the witches we see in movies like Harry Potter and the Wizard of Oz and stuff like that. Laugh that way, but I don't know. I mean, a lot of cultures have witches. and they have and they have different traditions than witches in Africa, witches in Asia, and the Middle East. Oh yes, it is hardcore. Yes, yes. There's I've been seeing videos about guys going into cemeteries with their cameras and they're scared and they go, look at that man. They're saying, man, look at that, look at dude, look at that, that thing is moving and it's coming for us. Oh my god, oh my god. I'm seeing a lot of those videos lately. Yeah, yeah. Especially like in places in down in Mexico in Veracruz in Mexico or in places in the central part of Mexico also. Yeah, witches have been a very big legend in Mexico through the years. I mean, they've been known to be witch doctors, healers, um, shamanism, uh, evils, witches, stuff like that, and tarot card readers from all kinds of these. Just it tells you how how that all of the diverse in Mexico is how diverse in Mexico is tradition that came during the Spanish conquest of the 16th century. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In those in a lot of those countries, people actually believe in curses and spells that people put on their enemies or friends or whoever. They actually believe in that. Hey, hello, Barbie girl. How are you? Yeah. So people actually believe in all that stuff, in the witches and everything. But you know, when I was a kid, witches used to scare the hell out of me. Oh yeah, I remember watching in the Wizard of Oz. Oh my God, boy did that get me nightmares. When I was a kid. Boy did that give me nightmares. You know, I don't know if you guys remember when you guys were kids in school, but there used to be a movie they used to show us when we were kids. It was called The Winter Witch. It was a movie like from the late '60s, and it's a story about a mother and her son who buy this real cheap old house someplace in New England, and they find out, and as they go in, they notice that an old witch has lived there for hundreds of years, and the witch is saying, "What are you doing here? This is my house." No, no, this is our house. We bought this house. We bought this house. The witch tells him. Yeah. So the witch became friendly with the mother and son. They became friendly with them, and they made a. And she had a recipe for these blueberry pancakes. And they said if you ate one, you will be happy for the rest of your life, and you will never have anxiety or any anger in your mind. If you eat one pancake of those, they were magic pancakes. Yeah. Yeah, it was called The Winter Witch. You can find that movie here on YouTube if you're curious about it. The Winter Witch is called. 1969 film, and it's narrated by the actor who's in the Rocky movies. The guy who played Mickey in the Rocky. movies. Is narrated by him. The movie, and it's a very very I mean, when I saw it, it was for me it was scary. Oh yeah, witches. Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's another funny story. When I was a kid, this was when I was about like 9 years old at the time. Yeah, nine or eight, something like that. We were in our backyard, and we were talking to the other kids who lived in the other house, in the back house, the other street. And this little girl was telling me a story that she woke up in the middle of the night, and she opened the window, and she saw this guy dressed in a clown suit, kind of like Pennywise, spooky thing. This was way before Pennywise. This is back in 1970, late 70s, early 76, or late 75, around that time. And then she was talking, and kind of blah. And later on, she noticed that she saw a witch sitting by the clown. Yeah, at night. But I was scared when she said that story. I was, it freaked me out. I tell you the truth, it just freaked me out. But it's really, as now I'm not freaked out because what she probably saw was actually some some lady who came home in the middle of the night drunk with her hair all messed up or something. And the guy that looked like a clown was probably some guy who probably worked as a clown in some circus or some street or something. And he came to her or came to her. That's my theory. She probably thought she was a witch because she came with her hair all messed up and her eyes already swollen up from being drunk and everything. That's my theory. Now, but back then I didn't even think of that. Like, I thought about the witch. I thought about the yes, witches are. There's a lot of people that practice witchcraft, people all over the world. Whether it's Wicca, whether it's paganism, whether it's uh, whether it's black magic or white magic and whatever. You know. Hmm. As a kid, we lived in a bad neighborhood. I mean, it was not a bad neighborhood. It was not a bad neighborhood. Well, it was kind of a bad neighborhood, but at night when I walked, I wasn't afraid of being mugged or somebody, trying to, you know, rob me or something or do something bad to me. I was more afraid of encountering a ghost or a witch or something. Oh yeah, I was more afraid. There was this guy. He was this drunk guy who had one eye. I think he had this eye, white eye or something happened to him. He saw one. He saw only with one eye. He only saw one with one eye, and he walked on crutches, and he was missing one of his legs. Part of one leg, part of his leg was amputated, and he would walk around. Boy, did this guy look scary! Believe it or not. To this day, I remember him like that. He still gives me the creeps. But this guy was really scary. He walked around, and sometimes he was he would yell at young girls, tell her stuff like like you know obscenities and everything to young girls. When in some way you kind of felt sorry for this guy because the street punks would make fun of him. They would steal one of his crutches and going around and and a couple of years later, a guy who knew him told me his story. Told me this guy was a war veteran. Actually, he was actually a war veteran. I think he was in Korea or World War II. Not sure where, but he said he was in a war. Yes, how scary things are. I tell you. Mm. There's this house that's uh, that's in the shape of a castle. It's like a mini. It's like a mini. I'll say it's a mini mansion in a way, but it's on a mountaintop. It overlooks the downtown Tijuana, and the house has been there for oh my god for years and years. But people have always talked about that house. People say that they say that it's haunted. They say it's there's no uh, ghosts live there. Um, that. But here's the story that I read about that house. They say that years and years ago, it was owned by a man who was a Rose Christian guy. It's a religion that mixes astrology and Christianity. It's called Rosa Cruz or Rosa Cruz. It's very popular here in the U. It's they have temples of that in some parts of the country. It's called Rosa Cruz, Rosa Christian, or something like that. It's called. Yeah, it's the house was owned by a man who practiced that religion. But legend has it that when he died, he wrote a lot of poems, a lot of poems. Hey, hi, Diabolic, how are you? He wrote a lot of poems. You know, he wrote a lot of poems. The legend has it that the poems were uh, were destroyed by the family. Hey, what's that, Nikki? They say legend has it that the poems were destroyed by the family, and God knows why the poems were destroyed. Hey, Jojo, what's up? Okay, Jojo, good night. Thanks for coming. Thanks for dropping by. Um, I tell you, the poems were destroyed by the family of the man. Let's see. Yes, yes, yes. It was. Well, since you guys are here, I'm going to tell you one of my favorite ones. I started that I know. Once, a, once upon a time, there was this young girl. It was around. It was around Easter time. Oh, Jojo, I'm so sorry, Jojo, to hear that. Hope you feel better soon. Fuck your show, sorry. So it was around Easter time, about years ago, but around 1973 or 72. Her mom told her, her mom told her, "You're not gonna go out. You're not gonna go out." Oh, thank you, Diabolic. You're not gonna go out tonight. You're grounded. Okay, you're not gonna go out. So, so the mom, so the girl went inside her room and said, "I don't care what she says. I'm gonna go out tonight." She got dressed up. She called her friends and she went out to this place called the Aloha. The Aloha. Back in those days, the Aloha was a dancing, was a nightclub, and it was frequented by many people, by a lot of college kids from the nearby San Diego, and you they came from they were, to that place Aloha. They were it was really popular back in those days, but we'll talk about sometime about that. Right, after I finish the story, I will tell you another story about that place you guys are gonna like. It's not a scary one, but it's you. I like when I finish the story. Well, the girl went, and the place was packed. It was Easter vacation. There was kids. There was college kids from San Diego. It was everything. It was the music was loud. Everybody was dancing, like that. And then the girl noticed that there was a mysterious man there, a very, very mysterious man standing. There was a mysterious man. Hey, what's up, Jonathan? How are you? There was a mysterious man there standing. He was sharp dressed, had a had a had an expensive suit, very well dressed, with a expensive ring, everything. And the guy was as a woman would say, he was a hunk of a guy. And all the women saw this guy there, and they saw him, and they wanted to dance with him, and they wanted to dance with him. They were impressed by seeing this strange guy. And the young girl approached him and says to him, "You buy me a drink?" "Sure, why not?" "Sit down. What's your name?" She said, "I am. My name is Maria." "Oh, okay. And your name?" "My name," he said. "Everybody knows me. You know me. Your mother knows me. Everybody knows who I am." "Yeah, okay. Don't worry. You will find out later who I am, and you will know who I am. Okay? Don't worry." They talked. They flirted, and the girl said to him, "Hey, come on, let's dance." The guy said, "Okay, let's go to dance." They were dancing, 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 dancing. Ha, 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 da, 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 da. They were dancing, 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 dancing. And then she noticed something. She noticed that the guy's feet were not human. She noticed the guy's feet were like goat feet or something. Goat feet or and she saw him, and she freaked out. And for some mysterious reason, there was this short circuit that happened. Boom, and a fire started. and the girl collapsed, and she was burned beyond recognition. She was burned, and everybody started running from the nightclub, and then the waiters and the busboys, the waiters and the bartenders, they saw that the guy had run into the bathroom, and a couple of waiters went inside there to see if the guy was there, and guess what? He had disappeared. He had disappeared. He was nowhere to be found, and the young girl was burned beyond recognition. Yeah. And according to the legend, it's the story of the girl that danced with the devil that night. She danced at the Aloha place. Yeah. Oh yeah. That place is very famous. Back then it was popular. Even the late Jim Morrison from the Doors visited that place. Jim Morrison visited that place in back in the um, back in the day. Visited that place. Also, uh, so several celebrities also visited it. Like I said, it was the biggest nightclub at that time. It was the biggest nightclub. Well, the place caught on fire or something, but I think this was back in 2012 or 2013. I'm not sure, 21. I passed through that nightclub. Around that time, the place was abandoned because it closed its doors back in the '90s or something, I guess, and it was abandoned. So I stopped and I noticed, and I took a peek, and guess what? The place was actually cold. It was cold, and it wasn't even cold outside. It was the weather was mild, was sunny and like that, but it wasn't a place to be cold. Place was cold. Weird, weird. A place where the devil once visited and danced with the girl who disobeyed her mom. Yes, that's what happens when you disobey your parents. Yes, these stories are a lot of them are from the same hometown. You know, uh, there's a video. If you go to Rosie O'Kelly's channel, she visited Tijuana back about a year ago. Um, and in one of her, and she had to, she uh, um, visited also a cemetery that is known to be haunted. A haunted, the legend goes back to the 20s. Yes, yes, she did. In the video, you'll find her. You find that video where she's outside sitting down the cemetery, the haunted cemetery. Yes, it's a cemetery. It's called the Puerta Blanca White Door Cemetery Number 1. It's one of the oldest cemeteries in town. A lot of people are buried there. There are a lot of famous people that from days gone go by. But it goes back to the legend of Enriqueta Hill, young girl who in the night who 1929 she was in her 20s. She was from a very well established family. Her dad had a lot of money and they had a big house and everything. and she fell in love with another man, with another young man who was a blue collar worker, down to earth guy and everything. But she was happy, very happy with this man. And the father found out about it, and he freaked out. He said, "No way, you're not gonna see that bum anymore. Okay, he's a low class. He doesn't belong to our people. She's different than ours. No, Daddy, I love this man." She said to him, "I love the man of my life. And no, you're not gonna see him no more. Okay." And that's that. End of story. Okay. She went crying. She cried, and she went inside her room and locked the door. And she didn't want to eat nothing. She just she just wanted to be alone, alone. Days went by. The parents were got got worried, and they noticed that their little girl, that their young girl, that their daughter wasn't coming, that wasn't um, coming for breakfast, dinner, or lunch, or anything. Her door was locked. So when they so when the father told one of the servants to break the door, the father went inside, and the mother went inside, and they saw the poor girl crying and weak with with pain and everything because uh, because she hasn't she didn't have no meal or anything, didn't eat anything for several days. She was weak and very, very sick. And the father got so got so depressed and told her, "Sweetheart, tell me, what do you want? Anything you want from me, just tell me. Daddy, I want to marry the man of my life. I want to marry." "Sure, sure, sure." They called the young man, and they called the justice of the peace to come in and to marry them, because the father, everybody had a hunch that the girl, all she wanted was to marry that man. All she wanted was that. She told, and the doctors who saw her said that she wasn't going to live any longer because her body didn't have any, because she was so dehydrated from not drinking any liquids or foods, anything, from days gone by. And the doctor said there was nothing they could do because so so the young girl said, as they were getting married, said to the young boy, "Don't worry," she said. "Someday I'm gonna I'm gonna leave this world, but don't worry, I'm gonna come back. You'll see, okay? Don't worry, I'm gonna come back." She died, and she was buried in that cemetery, the number one cemetery of Puerto Blanca, which means White Door Cemetery. About 23 years later, after her death, this young man, this young man, had just gotten off the bus, of a city bus, and was on his way to home. And the night was cold, and he noticed there was this young girl walking, wearing a wearing a wearing a bride's dress. The young man said, "Hey, are you lost, or can I help you with something? Do you live around here?" He said to her, "Yes, I do. I live that way. Can you take me that way? I'm kind of scared. Sure, I'll take you." He noticed that she was scared because he probably thought, okay, because the neighborhood is it's kind of rough at night. So he walked her to her so-called home. But when they arrived, her so-called home was actually the cemetery. The cemetery. He noticed, okay, is this your house? Yes. Okay, okay, okay. Your dad or your dad is probably the night watchman, are you? Yeah, yeah, could be. Yeah, she said, okay. And then as he was about to leave, he saw the girl walking through the gate, and the gate wasn't open. The gate was locked. It was locked. Cemetery. He noticed that, and then he looked at her, and she saw her. That told her, "Come, come." He he saw that, and he just froze, and he freaked out, and he ran home, which was about several blocks from where this boom, boom, boom. And as he got to his home, he started knocking on the door. Oh God! Started knocking on the door and saying, "Oh my God, I saw. Oh my God! Oh my God! I mean, something weird happened to me." She said, "Well, what happened? You're not going to believe this. I saw a ghost. A ghost. You know, yeah. He was, the guy was freaked out. He couldn't even move or something. Days went by. The guy said, "Well, I want to leave this city." He left, and never to return again. And God knows when. If he's still alive, he's probably in 90s. He's probably in his early 90s. If he's still alive, he's in his early 90s or something. If he's still alive. So that was it. So that was it. And several years later, a cab driver was roaming around that area. A taxi driver. She told the taxi driver, the taxi driver saw her, and she waved at him and told him, "Hey, can you take me to my home?" "Sure, I'll take you. I'll take you." Yeah. He took her to the home, which was at Fifth Street, a street that I myself know very well and been there many times. Okay, look, she said, "I don't have any money right now, and my parents are asleep, but tomorrow you can come, and my dad will pay you. Okay, he'll pay you, and my jacket, I'll give you a jacket tomorrow. Okay, sure, no problem. I'll come back here tomorrow." Okay, cab driver left. He came back the next day, knocked on the door, and said, "Hey, hello, sir." He said to the man, an old gentleman. Uh, does This young girl told me last night that she told me that her dad lives. This is her house, and her dad was going to pay for her cab fare I have. A young girl. Sir. Hey, son. What are you talking about? There's no young girl who lives here. Just me and my wife live here. Just me and my sir. I mean, she told me that last night. Come here. This is the address. I even wrote it down when I brought her here. And this is the address. You see? Hey, look, kid. Who do you think I am? You think I'm stupid? I'm gonna believe you. I told you, there's no young girl here. There's no young girl here. Okay? Okay? All right, all right. And then the cab driver noticed something. He noticed there was a picture of a young girl right in the living room. And he saw it and he said, what the fuck? This is the girl that asked me to bring her here last night. Okay, okay. You saw last night my daughter. But my daughter died 20, she's been dead for more than 20 years now. That's who you saw last night. Okay? We buried her at White Door Cemetery. Okay? You can go there, just look at her, and her grave's there. Go there and look for her. Okay? She's dead. Okay? Okay. The cab driver drove and he went to the cemetery and he walked and then he saw the plaque of Henrietta Hill who had died years before. Years before. And then he noticed something else. His jacket was right there in the grave. The poor cab driver freaked out, and the psychiatrist told him not to work at nights anymore. Yeah, yes, it's a story. The White Door Cemetery. Well, I want to put the link now if anybody wants to come up. There's a link if anybody wants to come up.